Hi friends! Having discussed the correct way to practice, it's time to explore things to avoid. Many people that have trained longer than I've been alive have only grown more unhealthy. And this is often because they maintain bad habits, and we must try to do better. One of the reasons for this video series, in fact, is to correct the bits of misinformation that I taught before I knew better. For example, it's common for a student to copy a teacher's movements without understanding its purpose. Comprehending the objective of the practice is what allows you to transform. Otherwise, you are reinforcing old patterns of tension without developing new skills. Always take the time to learn the why as soon as you know the how. Often the first step is to be a bit less rigid during practice. However, sometimes it's difficult for beginners to know when they are holding muscular tension, pushing their emotions, or clinging to thoughts. This confusion is why it's essential to develop the ability to pay attention and to listen as we begin these practices. Imagine that you are cutting vegetables with a knife. And if you were to meet unexpected resistance with the knife, you'd want to be attentive enough to stop your cutting. This skill could save you a lot of pain. During practice, notice your bad habits as they arise, and you will free yourself from constraint. At this moment, scan your body. Practice letting go for 5 seconds. What do you notice? Are you feeling a little bit better than before? It doesn't take much. We want to avoid adding more stress to our system as a rule. Each session should leave us feeling closer to our goal of wholeness, softness, deep peace, clarity, embodied wisdom. And we will heal our symptoms and develop a healthy back with these qualities. And of course, you mustn't center your mind around negative patterns. As I mentioned in the last class, attention should rest upon healing qualities like spaciousness, softness, and interconnection. Begin to develop those, and you will notice that they are obstructed when tension arises. And that makes it simple to release the blockage immediately. Another widespread mistake is to either not practice enough or to train too hard. And once again, mindfulness will protect you from injury. When you become uptight, you will feel the desire to do a bit of relaxing, as long as you notice. And if you train too long and feel fatigued, only noticing will give you the chance to prevent exhaustion. It's like eating delicious veggies at an endless buffet. The experience will slowly shift from nourishing to sleepy sickness as you gulp mindlessly. And usually people pay more attention to their cravings than their appetites. Listen to what your body tells you, and you are far more likely to succeed. Some students say, "Oh, this is wonderful. I'll train for 8 hours a day." And after a week, I never hear from them again. It would have been better to start very slowly and learn how to be consistent. Suppose you followed my earlier advice of cultivating a solid but effortless daily practice. And in that case, you already might have avoided this bad habit. And Master Jerchung often shares the traditional training proverb, "Don't be afraid of going slowly, only be afraid of stopping." When I was first studying Qigong methods, I traveled with friends across the planet to check with the best and most open instructors I could find. And in New Zealand, an instructor shares a system that emphasizes long periods of standing posture. He was wonderfully kind and generous and spent many hours on us every day teaching the basics of this system. he casually mentioned that the most earnest students train for 3 hours a day of standing posture. And of course, when we returned home, my friends and I began to stand for at least 3 hours a day, sweating and shaking. We compressed our bodies into smaller and smaller packages of tension and resistance because we didn't gradually develop our ability to stand effortlessly. We only improved our capacity to become rigid, and it has taken years and years to undo that damage. It's much better to develop slowly and cultivate a nourishing practice. And as your connection and attention improves, you will finally feel those body areas that have been numb or neglected for many years. And a stiff back, ignored for many decades, may unexpectedly demand your attention. You may also abruptly be able to perceive suppressed thoughts and feelings. And now that you're listening, which spots in your body are letting you know that they need help? Write them down in your journal. Keep track and observe your progress. For many students who are not expecting an awkward phase of their healing, the sensations become unbearable. And rather than recognizing it, that they must inhabit their own experiences before recovery, they assume that the practice is making them worse. And the big mistake here is to stop progressing in the middle of healing. They may decide that ignorance is bliss and choose to quit practicing rather than to experience their hidden imbalance. Everyone wants to improve, but few want to change. And as you cultivate the ability to attend to your practice, some students, like me, become hyper-focused on a single aspect. Or they might use visualization methods to force qi to move. This kind of intention is just another form of tension. Intention? Huh? It doesn't allow you to return to a naturally clear mind. And remember that Master Feng gave the advice to practice lightheartedly and only with gentle awareness on what you're growing. Maintain a light touch with your thoughts and expectations, and don't take yourself too seriously. As you gain skills over time, incorporate each into your daily cultivation. For instance, soon you'll learn about proper postural relationships. Afterwards, don't throw out that knowledge to discover the next lesson. That would be like going to a store, buying healthy veggies, loading them into your car, and then never taking them out of your trunk. Not only did you waste good food, but you ended up with a smelly car. Bring your new skills along with you, and avoid skipping steps or moving too quickly through the sequence. Allow each lesson to grow upon the last, progressing into the next, and small skills combine like threads interwoven into a coiled rope. The next step. Now that we have discussed general errors in method and approach, it's helpful to examine specific mistakes that would derail your healing process. The next lesson will help you avoid some of the most common stumbling blocks along your path to healing with Qigong. And remember to maintain your daily training routine and to continue this momentum. Your homework? Take your time to explore, to intuit, and journal about each noted mistake. Which are the most likely to cause you trouble? What steps can you take to make it easier for you to correct them immediately? Ask your training buddy about how you can support each other, and write down ideas in the comments section below. Your words and experience may help students years from now. You're on your way to discovering how your practice will influence your entire life. Happy training.